We're live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I just have to make sure that I click all the buttons so I don't hear myself twice. It's so good to have you here. Welcome to the weekly Projector Energy Study live. And if you're watching this on replay, welcome. We are streaming. Let me also hit the record button just in case. Okay, welcome to the Projector Energy Study live. If you can turn your cameras on, I love that. It helps me stay focused. It helps me focus on you. It helps me focus on seeing how things are landing with you. And also, please feel free, and you're very welcome to interact in the chat. It helps me to direct also and see what's landing, what's not landing, and we might have more people popping on. I'm gonna keep admitting people. So I'm glad you guys are here. It's so good to see you. And I'm happy that you're choosing to spend your time to understand your projector energy more. So today I was preparing today's lesson, and I also want to make sure that I have something that's relevant to you. So if there's something on your heart right now that you would like to have more clarity on as a projector, please type it in the chat. And then I can weave it into what we're talking about today. It could be regarding your undefined sacral. It could be general concepts. Please make your questions very practical, though. My brain does a lot better when I can tune into you when you are asking specifically what's going on or about a specific situation as opposed to something very wide, because I want to make it, sorry, I want to make sure that it's really helpful to you. Christina says she's listening while at work, not on the camera. Yeah, that's totally fine. But if you can be on the camera, that's always really helpful so that I can see your faces while things are landing. And if you're watching on YouTube, which we have some people watching on YouTube, I will check the chat also occasionally. Just know that I also get distracted really easily. So type in the comments, type in the chat if you have any questions about anything specifically human design. And I'm going to keep admitting people. So people are trickling in. So today I wanted to talk to you. I was thinking about and the thing is about thinking, it doesn't really usually help us get the best results. So I was thinking, like, what are the things that I could think about, what to talk about regarding projector things, because there are so many things that we could talk about, how to master being a projector. But what I most feel compelled to talk about is how nuanced things are. So let me check as we have the first question in the chat. I know Noor is asking, I know the strategy is to await the invitation. I feel like I'm wired to initiate, so I don't really know how to trust receiving invitations. Trust receiving doesn't seem to happen a whole lot. I'd like support to shift out of this in areas of dating and business clients. Help. Okay. This is a very good questions. Yes, it's multiple. Business and clients, everything relationships, right? So can you clarify in the chat real quick, what do you mean by trust receiving invitations? How can I understand that better? So awaiting the invitation. Let's start with that one first. And as you might know, as a projector, you have an undefined sacral center. That means there is no consistent energy flowing out of your sacral just because you choose it as a human. I think that is the main thing to understand, and the main thing to realize is in human design, every center or every gate or channel that you have defined, and for projectors, the sacral center is always undefined, but everything that you have defined will mean that, and welcome to everyone who's hopping on, every every center or defined energy that you have in your chart means it kind of radios out. It's kind of like a frequency that you emit naturally without even knowing it. So everything that you have defined. So when you have something undefined, like in, like I think the undefined sacral is one of my favorite subjects to talk about as a projector, because when you understand the concepts and the nuances behind defined and undefined sacral, you'll understand so much about how to use your energy in a way that actually brings you recognition and invitations. So defined sacral, everyone who's a generator or a manifesting generator, they have a defined sacral, which means they're radiating out by themselves without having to think about it. Oftentimes in human design coaching or teachings, it'll be somebody will share that generators or mani-gens, they have to empty their tank fully by the end of the day, and then they can sleep. For us projectors, we have an undefined sacral. So anything that's undefined in your chart, you are more like a receptive, like a receptacle. You are more like receiving those radio waves. And there's one misconception in human design, which I am not always so happy about, but it's one of the most popular or more popular teachings around projectors, is that you need other people to do anything. So first of all, as a human, we all need other humans, right? It's not good for a human in general to be in isolation. It's good to do things together. Even King Solomon said that in the Bible, and he is one of the most influential and richest people who's ever lived. He even advises to have a team. So that doesn't mean we can't do something without a team, but team can also be, coaches or advisors or friends, that you don't, that we humans need other people. But the undefined sacral, so many people think, oh, I need other people in order to do something. Yes, and the people actually come from somewhere. So you don't have to get out and try and manipulate people, or, whether that's in relationships or in business or in any kind of way. But the undefined sacral actually means we have to be fluid with how we use our workforce energy, and we have to teamwork with our higher force. So a lot of people might know, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I've done I've done quite a few psychedelic journeys in ceremonial ways in the last 10 years. And in one of the first ones, I received the wisdom. And by the way, all the wisdom I've ever received in any of those ceremonies was, even before I ever knew about human design, was completely aligned with my human design chart. It's really, really funny, especially with projector wisdom. But one of the wisdoms that I received very early on in one of the journeys was that true power comes from soul. And as a generator, that is also true, but they have more like of a pool tank of energy, like that they don't have to think about so much. It's more about like, let's use this energy for doing something, doing. And for us projectors, it's more like we can be as powerful, sometimes maybe even more powerful, but it's not about the ego power. It doesn't matter how powerful we are compared to other people, because what matters is how much of the power of our own soul are we actually drawing through through this undefined sacral that we have as life force energy, as workforce energy. So it's really about the constant questioning and communication with your soul, with your true higher power, where you receive your power from, to say, hey, how do you want me to use my life force energy today? Like, what do you want me to scroll on TikTok? Do you want me to like go food shopping? What is it, you know? And so it's really about that constant invitation. And as Noor was asking about invitations, the more we actively invite, and invitations is the strategy, every strategy always goes both ways, right? So we want to be invited, so we want to invite. And when we're so trapped in the physical realm of like, it's all about people, it's all about results, it's all about physical things, then we're completely missing the point of the undefined sacral, which is all about soul guidance, spiritual guidance, having our higher self give us direction. In human design, they call it the authority. And I have more to say on authority later too, but it's the nuance of always inviting. And by inviting, what they mean actually, which is my interpretation of it, is we need to invite the creator into everything. Because we don't have that pool tank of defined energy to use every day, we actually need help. And yes, the creator then might send other people, but what I've had to master over the years, and many of you know, I'm a single mom. I have 3 kids. I've been single now for 1.5 years-ish, and it's been hard, and there's a lot to do. And my littlest is a toddler, my biggest is a teenager, and I have a business, and I have a hobby, and I have a life. And sometimes I get tired too. So it's very much, oftentimes I'm like, oh, do I really still have to clean up the kitchen at the end of the day? And part of me could get bitter and say like, oh, somebody else should also, do something, and why do I have to do everything alone? But it's really about, it doesn't matter, because when I have the strength of my soul, and when I invite the creator, and like, creator, you clearly wanted me to be single, and you wanted me to be a single mom because it's a reality, and if it's a reality, it was meant to happen. So, and you clearly want me to have a business because it's a reality and I'm helping people, and you want me to do that. So just give me the strength to do it, you know? And when I approach life that way, I don't really even get tired anymore. Sure, sometimes when I put my toddler to bed or when I put him to nap, I'm like, oh, I have like a little lie down with him. But or sometimes at the end of the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really looking forward to bed. But it's not that kind of unmotivated tiredness that I used to have, where it's like, oh, the whole thing where projectors say, oh, I don't have energy. Like, there's no such thing as a projector having no energy, because you can invite energy through your undefined sacral at any moment by inviting in your soul power and inviting in the guidance of the creator. Life force energy is always available, but what's not always available is the openness of the undefined sacral, or of you to let it in. So, first thing to realize with the invitations is that you actually need to invite. Yes, you can also invite other people. I always like to invite too. Inviting for projectors, first of all, when you're in your soul power, you will feel like inviting is a joy, right? You'll have something to invite them into. So, for example, these energy study calls, I love inviting people into them, because why not? Let's just all do this together. But what we really need to invite in is the help of our soul, the help of the creator, because that's truly where life force energy comes from, I mean, there's all this stuff about biohacking and nervous system, and take ashwagandha or functional mushrooms or do microdosing, like all the things, work out, eat healthy, drink clean water, sleep well. Yes, those things too. I do all of that and beyond, because I want my physical vessel to be in the greatest shape, to be able to receive that life force energy and amplify it, because every undefined center you have, you can amplify. And I want to receive a lot of life force energy, right? You can see it in people's faces. A person with very little life force energy, my daughter got the flu shot on, what day is it? On Wednesday. Yesterday, she looked like death. She had like no energy. You can see it in people's faces, right? And I want my physical body to be in the shape where it can receive and amplify a lot of life force energy and hold it and use it for good and for the things that I'm meant to do here. But it's not the source of life force energy. Your body is not the source of it. Your body can channel it, it can amplify it, it can hold it, it can use it. Because how else are you going to use the direct, we need a body in order to do the magic that we're here to do in the world. But it's not the source. So we need to invite the source. That is the key. So when Noor is asking, he feels wired to initiate, and I don't really know how to trust receiving invitations, doesn't seem to happen a whole lot. So, like the invitations don't come often, so I tell myself I have to initiate to get feedback. Perfect. This is a great question, especially in the dating realm. And there are different other aspects in the chart that might help you initiate things, right? So, but everyone has them. So, for example, gate 51 in the will center is initiating gate. I have that gate in my true sky chart in my Mercury. I also have Aries as my chart ruler. If you have a lot of Aries placements active or defined in your astro chart, that's also very initiating energy. Everything fiery is initiating. But even for those who don't have, or every channel from a motor to the throat, which is a traditional manifestor channel, everyone has those in your chart. Um, it's just not defined. So you don't have it consistently, or you don't radiate out that energy. So you can do it. It also depends on transits or on the people you're around with. Sometimes that gets activated. But it doesn't mean you can't initiate. It's just be wise about initiating. So what does that mean? As a projector, to be wise about initiating means that we feel in like, does your authority ask you to do it? Does your soul tell you this is the right thing to do? When your soul or the creator, and the soul and the creator are basically attached, so your soul communicates to you, but it's the creator helping you live your unique expression, because every soul is different and has a different expression. But when you ask, and this is a sometimes thing, right? This is why a lot of projectors give a lot of lawyer answers, right? When you ask a projector, is it this, is it that? They'll be like, maybe, it depends. It's the depends. Like we use our sacral energy in a way where we could say it depends. Like, do you always do it this way? Do you always do it that way? So what I'm hearing for your question is that you sound like you tend to initiate more as a default, which would mean then it's not a it depends energy, but more of a I initiate because I don't get invitations. So I feel like I have to push for them. And then the question is, what am I afraid of if I don't do it? So that's the thing where then, and a lot of people have this, like 50% of the people are, and if you know the gene keys, there's always the repressed shadow and the reactive shadow. So one's a little more ingoing, one's a little more outgoing shadow. But a lot of people have control issues, right? And it's not always just like mean people or what we like to label narcissists in this society, but it's like, I want to make sure that I tell life how it should go, just in case life doesn't go the way I want it to go. And that is controlling. That is where you don't give the creator space for miracles. So is this helpful, Noor? And if yes or no, what follow-up questions do you have for that? But basically, the answer to your question is invite the creator and trust. Let go of trying to micromanage how the results should look, and you're going to give space for the creator to drop miracles in. So right now, that's probably why you're not getting a lot of invitations, because you are like, you're creating such a tight structure of how you want things to look that you're not open to things looking very differently. And that's always where the big surprises come in, right? That's where miracles aren't miracles because they're the ordinary, or they're like, they come in, oh, I did it all. I micromanaged reality and it came in exactly how I wanted it. That's exciting for a hot minute, maybe, and I think generators are much better at that. But as projectors, the nuance is to let go and to give space. The undefined sacral actually wants to receive. And when you receive, then when you open yourself up and you let it go, you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Is it because I feel uncomfortable if I don't do it? And if you feel uncomfortable if you don't do it, that's a good indicator to not do it, because then you can walk yourself through the discomfort to actually create a space for where the creator then can drop something much cooler in. All right, let me just see if you fear that nothing will come my way. Okay, that makes total sense. And I've not just had that fear, I still continue to have that fear. And then, it's just the awareness of, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And what's the fear behind it? So ask that fear for its wisdom. Okay. Someone had a technical question here. Let me see, is there anything going on? Okay, we have YouTube watchers. You can pop questions in the chat too if you want. So Paula says, my husband is a generator, but he only has his sacral and spleen defined. He also receives a lot of energy. I find the whole thing about type very mysterious. I'm a projector with only G and throat defined. Yes, Paula, I have that too in my regular human design chart, self-projected. That's beautiful. Yes, and it is very mysterious. A lot of people like, especially the gene keys, they don't even do types, right? And I have some generator friends, they're like, oh, I don't do types because it's not necessary. But who here, as a projector, that things work a little different for you with the undefined sacral, right? And that's why I'm doing this, because there is a lot of nuance around how to succeed as a projector. And it is sometimes a little elusive, and that's also why I want to do these energy studies, because I want to make it more practical for you to understand week by week a little bit more how to master your energy and your success. Because success is a thing that you can actually master when you're tuning in. And that is very simple, but it's not always easy. So that's why we're here. Question, Christina says, regarding the need to soundboard for mental projectors, what if this process only leads to unwanted advice, pushback, or incomprehension from others? I know the point is to speak it aloud for yourself, but often the other person's reaction is an unhelpful energy drain. Because of the stress, I generally just talk about aloud to myself or outside in nature. Well, it sounds, Christina, like you already have it sounds like you have your solution there. When you are soundboarding with someone, you need to make sure that it is actually someone who allows a full soundboard. If it's a friend or a family member who want to inject too much of their own story or their own opinion into it, then it's not soundboarding. Then it's, then it's getting unsolicited advice. Sometimes you can still hear yourself, but if any person or any person's advice brings you into an energy that shuts you down, that is also something to be very mindful of as a projector, because how are you going to receive when you're shut down, right? So that's why they there's so many good things out there there's so much good teaching in the general human design space for projectors that's helpful, and one of them is that you need to be really mindful about who you surround yourself with. But that's also helpful for many other humans. That's for humans in general. Just as a projector, our energy connection is so precious, and it's so important that we keep our channels open so that we can receive the wisdom and the life force energy that we need in order to really live our soul's purpose. And so when we're surrounding ourselves with people that bring us into a vibration that makes us doubt ourselves or that inject a lot of worry onto things, then we should really ask ourselves, what the benefit is, not just for you in a selfish way, but for everyone, even for that person. And if you become a little bit more, a lot of you know here that I study Kabbalah, and not just because Madonna does it, right? But I'm really glad she's finally coming out of the closet more and talking about it too. But there's this thing in Kabbalah and in Hebrew as well. They call it Lashon Hara, is negative speech. So when you're actually giving a person the opportunity to speak negative speech, you're not even doing them a favor, right? Because words have power, incredible power. And that's why speaking out loud, whether you're a mental projector or a sacral generator, right? Speaking out loud can be so helpful for everyone because the words actually are vessels. So if you're speaking out a prayer or you're speaking out something to feel like if it's right, as it's coming out of your mouth, it's a vessel that just with your thoughts alone, you'd have to be a lot more fine-tuned, and sometimes it's not actually possible. So writing or speaking actually creates a vessel that you then can feel into if it feels right. Sometimes you might already feel it as the word is on the way to the mouth or the pen and stop yourself so that you don't even create that vessel. But if you are talking with people and any of the advice is worrying or negative or doubtful or, whatever it is, you're actually not doing the other person a favor, because now they've created negative vessels in the energetic space because the words came out that then they have to deal with. So it's a lot of wisdom that we we projectors basically run on a wisdom generator, right? Um, the more wisdom we accumulate and the faster we do it from all areas of our life, the more energy and power we will be given. Because it's not up to us how much energy we have. It's not up to us what results we receive, but it's up to us to generate as much wisdom as we can so that we can be so discerning about who we surround ourselves with, what we share out into the world, how we use our time and our energy, right? And then success comes because the more you live in your wisdom, and living in your wisdom is very different from knowing something. So my mom, for example, she was a projector too, and she had great advice for everyone. I've shared this story before. She knew so much about so many things, and nobody took her advice. Why? Because everyone could see that she isn't living it. She was not showing the results in her life that would make other people want to listen to her. It wasn't embodied. It was, she knew the wisdom, but she wasn't living the wisdom. So this is our projector's divine, I wouldn't even say purpose, but duty, is to not just know what you should do, but actually live it and do it. And I like to give like, I listen to this podcast sometimes. It's a spiritual podcast, and he does almost daily episodes. And it's very Jewish, but he talks a lot about Kabbalah, and I love him because almost every day on his podcast, he rips us all a new one, like a spiritual new one. And I think when it comes from love, it's good, because and this is my 51 and my true sky Mercury, I do say things sometimes that land a little, but it's other people do this for me too, and it activates me, right? And so it's up to you if you take it or not, but there are things that you should be embodying more that are wisdom that you have maybe even lived through and accumulated yourself, and you're not applying it anymore. Maybe you're wasting too much time on the internet every day instead of creating and sharing yourself and getting yourself out there and helping people. Maybe you're focusing too much on how much money you make. Maybe you're not going to bed early enough. Maybe you're not eating well, whatever it is. This is a crucial time because, and I'm not I'm not here for fear mongering, but 2027, we're already all feeling that chart shift is in the works. And so everyone who's not on the train is going to get left behind. And as a projector, what does that look like when you're getting left behind is that you won't have energy for anything. So the more we are moving toward 2027, the more important it is that you actually get yourself on the train of your soul's purpose. And it's not about what do you do for a job or what do you do in your company. Yes, that can be part of it, but your soul's purpose is really to embody your wisdom and live your wisdom, whether that's in your family, whether that's in your friendship circle, with your coworkers, or in your own business, or wherever in your communities, in your relationship, in your one-on-one relationship. Your divine duty is to walk your talk and walk your wisdom and to get really real with yourself right now, today, this weekend, and sit down and say, hey, maybe like Christina, maybe you already know that some of the relationships in your life are not so beneficial for you to move forward with your highest destiny. Not as oh, I just want to do my own thing and whoever's not on board, I'm going to toss out. Not like that, but that when it's not aligned for your soul, that it can't be good for their soul and the greater good either. So I would love, while I'm going to read some more comments, I would love for you all to reflect for a moment and take a deep breath and look at your life and say, hey, in this area of life, I know I could be doing better and I know what I need to do and I'm not doing it. So, and be brutally honest with yourself, because self-honesty creates a vessel and an opening for more energy to flow through and for more support to come through too. And then when you have it, and I'm not going to share your names, but I want you to share that in the comments, because when you share it, it gives somebody else permission to also live their wisdom and embody their wisdom and walk their talk more. Because what's really needed in this world and why we love so many celebrities is because we see them publicly, what they're doing, right? And so the people who have been at the top of entertainment for decades, there's something to learn here, right? They're not just good at music or they're not just a good actor. They're usually using that as a platform to become a better person. And then you're like, oh, yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio is a really great guy. He like does this and does that. And when you hear them talk in interviews, you actually get something out of it. It's not just about, oh, I'm a great actor or anything. He's like life lessons shared and learned and wisdom learned. And they're using their popularity to actually be a voice for that wisdom. And so, whether you're famous or not, what do you want people to say about you at your funeral? Would you like them to say, oh, Barb was always there for people. She was always kind. She was always a listening ear, you know? How do you want to be remembered? And that's how you want to live. Or like like Alex, always like available for a deep conversation that makes my life better in some way, you know? That's what I want to be known for, and like helping people and being there for people and stuff like that. Being an amazing mom, helping my kids grow into the people that they want to become, right? But in order to do that, there are certain things that I have to take care of on a daily basis. And walking my talk is one of them. And so is my morning shake, my protein multi-nutrient vitamin morning shake that I make every morning. That's early going to bed is part of it too, because I need to physically be able to do those things. So I want you to share it in the chat. I want you to create a vessel of this for your own accountability between you and the creator of what area of life, what is something that you know that you could be doing where you could be embodying your wisdom more and and um, and live more in alignment with your soul. Because when you're living in your own wisdom, then you're living in alignment. And alignment is the buzzword, but alignment is also the key for projectors. Okay. Christina says, thank you. Yes, I only seem to encounter people who want to give their own point of view or advice regarding my shares. So thank you for that feedback, that I can follow my own protocol regarding soundboarding. Yes. Like many projectors, I'm ultra sensitive and easily drained by being around other people too much, especially now that I'm in my sixth part of life as a 3/6. Thanks again. You're welcome. Sixth part of life, and then so Paula was asking the sixth part of life. So regarding the profile line, when you have a 6 number in your profile, that goes in phases. So Christina was answering it is when after the first 30 to 40 plus years of nonstop trial and error, mostly errors, and experimentation as a 3 line, you have the transition to the 6, where you now are more settled down as a potential future role model using all the life experience you have obtained. And that's exactly beautiful. And this is exactly what we're talking about, Christina. As a role model, you can't be a role model. I'm not saying you, but you in general can't be a role model if you're not living your wisdom, if you're not walking your talk, if you are saying, I know all these things, but I'm not doing them. Okay, Noor is dropping in with accountability. I love it. With food, avoiding sugar despite cravings because I know that will support a cleaner vessel for me. Beautiful. And sometimes it's the little things and sometimes it's bigger things, right? So we want to be sure that whatever drops through from the creator as wisdom that we want to be embodying more, that we honor it. Okay. So nobody else has anything where they need to live more in their wisdom. I'm happy to hear it. You guys are all embodying fully your wisdom. That's great. So here's a thing that we can do. I know everyone has an area in their life, a situation in their life that they would like to improve. For some people, it's money. For some people, it's calling in love. For some people, it's physical. For some people, it's friendship and connection or more adventure, whatever it is. Avoiding temptations when I already have experience, it's not fulfilling or works for me. That is very, very important. Avoiding temptations is actually the last test before miracles drop into the physical. So, but we all have situations, areas in life where we are, and we're going to do a little bit of a exercise now if you guys want. So we all have areas in life, challenges in life where we want a different result, where we would like a different reality. And what will happen when you ask for that thing? Let's say you wanna meet your soulmate, or you want to improve your financial situation, like call in abundance or create financial stability or whatever it is. You send that out as a prayer with a thank you. You always need to be, when you invite in the creator for guidance, then you also want to add in a thank you, because a thank you is another opening of a vessel. Within the next 24 hours, you will be shown what is keeping you from it. Something will pop up in your life. So I had this the other day. I was sharing on it. If you want to watch the replay, last week, I think, it seems like years ago, but it was just last week. I ran into a very triggering person for me. It was the woman that, you know, was part of the betrayal triangle in my last relationship, and I had no idea I would run into her that day. And it was such a big, it was just such a big pain and so much processing. I was happy that I had the day of Yom Kippur to help me process it with more prayers later in the evening ceremonies, and it actually went away as quickly as it came. But earlier that day, also as part of the prayer ceremonies of that holiday, I was asking, Creator, please show me what is in the way between me and meeting my soulmate, or bringing in my soulmate into my life. And in the afternoon, I got to meet her. And it activated such a deep pain that was exactly as painful as when it happened, even though I've done 1.5 years of healing on this and all the things. And I thought I was over it. And it wasn't that I wasn't over him. It was that the pain that it activated in me contained wisdom. And that was the wisdom that was that I well, because I was asking for the clarity on what's standing between me and meeting my soulmate, that was shown to me. And the pain from meeting her brought up two important things where I was keeping my vessel closed for that reality, for that new soulmate meeting. And one of them was that, that fear of, very similar to what Noor was sharing. I was like, oh, love is just not meant for me. I will never find my person. I'll never be loved again, or I have like that special person. And the other one was, and this was surprising to me, that I found, and guilt and shame, you guys know it, on the Hawkins scale of emotions, they're very low frequency. So I found guilt still for breaking my marriage up, like over 8 years. When was it? 2017. So it's 8 years-ish ago, right? And so that was really surprising to me, but that was the wisdom that I needed. That was the block that I was shown that was in between me and calling in my soulmate. So, but also then I can't micromanage it. I have to let go, and like it's not up to me when I meet that person, when I meet him. But I was shown what I needed to release that was standing in the way. So now, when you're asking, put in that prayer, maybe say it out loud right here on the call, like, Creator, please help me see what's standing in between me and, what is it? Health, financial stability, love, whatever it is. Those are three of the big ones, friendships, more connection, or a new home, whatever it is that you're really soul desiring from your heart. Maybe speak it out loud. I'm grateful that you're going to show me. I'm grateful that it already exists in the spiritual realm. Please show me what's standing in between me and the thing that I really truly want. Not for selfish reasons, but for soul reasons. And so then watch in the next 24 hours what comes up. It could be a complete, maybe you're yelling too much at your kids. Maybe you are road raging. I don't know, whatever comes up, that's going to watch very closely what's happening over the next 24 hours, and then you'll see. And the other thing is, you'll be shown. So this is for watching out and listening to the universe, like gate 33, listening. It's not about just listening to other people. It's listening to your surroundings. Listening is with your heart. That's why it's not a center in the head with your ears. It's in the heart, in the G center, because you're actually meant to listen with your heart awareness, with your soul. And so listening to what is the wisdom of, where are you still blocked? And then the other thing is, you might get shown to take some actions. And here's where I wanted to talk more about authority as well. Authority is your guidance system. And recently, and some of you know that I got certified with Karen Curry Parker very early on in my human design journey, and she's awesome. And she's developed this thing called quantum human design, which is more of an empowering language, because she also understands the power of creating the vessel of language and words. And so so she and I are Facebook friends. I'm fangirling. No, but really, she's a wonderful, solid human, and she has so much wisdom. And she was just, as a reminder, sharing in a Reels on her Facebook a couple of days ago that we are not meant to always keep following our authority our entire lives. Our authority is, and this is, if you're a projector, there are 5. So ego, which is the defined will center one, it's one of the fewer ones, self-projected, mental, emotional, and splenic. But that is your main way of your soul or the creator communicating with you. Once you have mastered it, like Christina was asking about soundboarding, maybe you don't need soundboarding anymore after a while, and you can just do it in your own head. Your authority is not meant to keep you trapped in a cycle of, oh, I always have to do things this way. That is never the way of the undefined sacral, is, oh, I always have to do things this way. The undefined sacral stays very flexible with how to do things. But you are still going to have to do things. And sometimes they're just symbolic. Sometimes your soul will just ask you to do something via a spleen hit, or via you're soundboarding something out as a mental or self-projected, and you're like, oh, that feels right, I'm going to do it. But most of the time people don't, because it's not logical. But your authority will ask you to do things that aren't logical and that might not make sense, and that will definitely make you feel anxious or scared sometimes, because it wants you to overcome and not take your fear seriously. Your soul wants you to honor and respect it more than your fear. So that's why the actions that you take when guided by your authority will bring you success, not because of the action itself, just because it's a control mechanism. And here your soul can have control issues, right? Your soul wants to actually control your ride and is meant to, but that is your soul's control mechanism of asking, do you trust me? And when you are taking action based on your authority, or once you don't need your authority anymore, and you're like, if you're a mental projector, you have an undefined body everywhere. Maybe some have the throat defined, but then you get your guidance from everywhere. And over time, you'll have your own way of communicating with the creator, with your soul. You're like, I'm self-projected, but I'll still take a week to think over it, because it feels right for this specific one, to take some time with it, because I don't want to make a rushed decision. So I'm going to use an emotional wave to make a decision on it. But it's about you understanding this is soul's guidance versus this is ego's guidance. Because when you're guided by your ego, when you're listening to logic, when you're saying yes to fear, when you're worrying and doubting and taking action on that, when you're not coming out of your comfort zone, when you're like, this is too scary, I'm not going to do it, your soul knows you're not listening to it and you're not going to be successful. And that's why your soul might ask you to drive to the supermarket when you have a lot of work to do. And you're like, this doesn't make sense. I need to be productive. If I'm not getting things done, then my whole business is going to fall apart and I'll never be successful. But actually, it's the actual thing that you actually need is to drive to the supermarket and not hustle and grind because you're on a fear frequency with that. And your soul's like, let me just advise you to go to the supermarket and have a chill lunch at the hot bar at Whole Foods and chillax a little bit so that you can actually hear my guidance again. And that might open something up for you where you're like, you get the idea that's going to make you all the money for the rest of the year. You have to trust it because your soul guidance is never wrong. And that is all I have to say about this. So, thoughts, questions, comments in the chat, please, concerns. I want to hear it all. And then we're going to close up this session. And I want to know what is the most important thing. I'm going to check the chat, see what you guys are saying. And then I want to hear in the chat what is the thing that you're taking away, because I want you to take something away that you can play with in your 3D experience, in your practical life, so that this is actually not just a talky session, but something actually helpful to you. So please type it in the comments, whatever thoughts you have, whatever questions, if something else is coming up that you would like to have answered. What do I always say? Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. Paula is saying, I'm avoiding my daily workout. They are more like monthly. I take walks and do my morning yoga, but I do not work out. Okay, that is a very vulnerable sharing. Thank you for sharing that. So then it's up to you, right? And for those of you who follow me on social or who are on my Facebook projector group, and yay, we're over 6,000 members now in there. That's incredible. I shared something last night because this is the thing with laziness. Laziness is real, right? Our ego, our comfort zone will always ask us to be lazy. And last night I was like, oh, this is a great idea for a really empowering post that people like, that will really like make them feel like, oh, let's do this. And I was like, that was totally my soul. And then my ego was like, let's just lie here in bed and scroll for 5 minutes. And then I scrolled for 5 minutes. I totally forgot what I was going to do because that's how scrolling works, right? And I was like, oh, now I'll close my eyes. I'll do a little bit of praying and then I'll feel really cozy and comfy and then I'll fall asleep. I was like, wait a second. And then I was like, oh, I wanted to write that post. I'm like, nah, you know what? We can do that tomorrow. And I'm like, no, this is exactly the trick. We're not doing it tomorrow. We're doing it today. And so it only took me 5 minutes because if it's right there, it doesn't have to take you a long time, right? If you're in alignment, it'll just pop through. It'll be really easy to do it because the creator's energy is behind it. So, but it was basically, the post was about, it's up to you when you turn your power on, right? But make it today, because why would you wait another year? Why would you wait another month? Why would you wait another week or another day to live a life where you feel powerful, where you feel like I have a say in the results, I have contribution to make here, in the way my life shapes out. I don't just have to wait for invitations. I don't have to wait for recognition or to talk. I can initiate, and it's wise to initiate, and it's wise to overcome my laziness in some ways. And sometimes it's just time to rest, but your nervous system will tell you. But sometimes it's just laziness. And that's the thing where our ego, you can't be seen. You can't be recognized. You can't be invited when you're letting your laziness win, right? So then that post that I wrote, that message of it's up to you when you want to turn on your power. You click your plug into the socket of the light of the creator, you got flow. But it's up to you when you do it, right? There are things, that you have power over, and there are things that you don't. Okay, Houdini in New York City says the affirmation and reminder that it is in us, being the example of what we hold as a value principle and or truth, that we open the doors for aligned invitations. Yes, beautiful. And I was sharing with you guys, I don't know in which of my memberships or if it was on this call last week, but I had lost my spark a little bit for a few months. It got really hard earlier this year, after an incredible winter. Sometimes that's just how it goes. And I had to really dig deep to find it again. And I found it again. And I've been living like that. And the most unlikely and interesting invitations have come up, right? It's like one of my people shouting outside. One of my CEO clients from a few years ago just dropped back into my emails and like, let's work together again. And I'm getting offered jobs to work with toddlers, and I'm like, oh my God! And those things are near and dear to my heart, and many other things like social invitations that in the morning I had no idea would happen that same night. So these are all things that happen when you're in alignment. And this is literally where then you can have the magic come in, Noor, like you were asking, where are the invitations? It's actually from me just focusing on my alignment and walking my talk. And then these cool things flow in. And I feel there are so many more around the corner because it's just such a powerful time right now. But yeah, if I'm not doing this, then who am I to teach you to do this, right? So, all right, this is what we have. Paula says this is beautiful. So I take it nobody else has any questions. So thank you for being here. I hope this is a powerful start into your weekend, the weekend where you also can take Shabbat off, Saturday off, in order to let go of controlling and micromanaging how it should go. And if you feel like doing something, to force yourself not to, and just force yourself to work on alignment and work on receiving. The undefined sacral is so important that we master being a receptive vessel. Thank you. I appreciate lots of thank yous. Well, I'm glad it's helpful. Thank you for the thank yous. And I hope to see you put this in your calendar. It's the same Zoom link every Friday morning. We meet at 9 a.m. It's very powerful to have you here in person on Zoom, so that we can co-shape this experience together. And I'm wishing you a beautiful weekend, a powerful next few days. Focus on joy, focus on happiness, focus on knowing that the Creator is here and the Creator's always got your back. And like, comment, or subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you